This is Punz. Bottom right here is Punz. And he had allegations come out against him yesterday by this person, this content creator that goes by Andy. And she basically accused him of being racist, which we will get into. She accused him of being like verbally abusive and irresponsible. She also said that there was one instance where she got blackout drunk and woke up in a bed. To be clear, they were dating at the time, because I think that is important context. But that she got blackout drunk and she woke up in a bed naked the next morning. So that is everything that's on that front. And he is, I guess, responded. He says, I would like to start this off by saying that in no way do I intend to invalidate victims in this statement. I unequivocally stand with the victims of sexual assault. These are very serious allegations being brought against me. I would like to treat them as such. I will be directly referring to statements with quotes from Andy's posts regarding me. Background, this statement is giving more context to a relationship I had with Andy. There's a few main takeaways that I feel are important. I felt during and after processing a relationship that Andy and I's personalities were incompatible. This caused a lot of clashing, constant arguments, and stress on both of us. I felt like because of this, on both sides, it brought out the worst in us. I do not stand by all of my actions during this relationship. I feel as though they do not represent the person I am today. I don't want to focus on small details as to not take away from the main points and defenses, but I would like to shed some light on some of her exaggerations and untrue allegations, as well as provide my perspective so you can see that this was not one-sided situation with me as a perpetrator and her as a victim. Well, she didn't say that. She said that sure, she had done terrible things too, but I love these people so much. Comes in twice, asks, why was she wearing a 21 plus wristband? I call him out for the obvious victim blaming. And then says, I'm just asking a question. Followed by a paragraph actually saying how you feel, which we all knew from the first sentence you led with. I'm sorry, but people who expect explicit verbal consent for every social interaction are either extremely chronically aligned or kids that have never been in a relationship. That's just not how real life works. If they smile back or actively engage with you, it's an indication that they don't have a problem with what's happening. You can't suddenly change your mind 6 months later and say that you were sexually assaulted. First of all, she did not just change her mind 6 months later that she was sexually assaulted, okay? She was drunk at the time, and people who are drunk cannot consent. I do not know why this is so difficult for people to understand. You cannot consent when you are drunk. Men cannot consent when they are drunk. Women cannot consent when they are drunk. No one can consent when they are drunk. That sentence alone disproves the entire paragraph that you're talking about. Second of all, it is not explicitly online behavior to just double check with someone if they want to do something. That's not. It's just not. And if someone is actually attracted to you and you say, like, can I kiss you? Guess what? They're going to be into it because it's hot. And if they aren't into it, they weren't into it in the first place. And finally, I take issue with content creators for being idiots. They are making the rest of us look like fucking morons. And if you are a content creator, even if you are a literal sociopath and you do not give a fuck about anybody else, how dare you be a moron in public in front of me? This is all very jokingly, of course, but genuinely, if you are a content creator, the least you can do is at least have some fucking proof that you had explicit consent, that you had enthusiastic consent. Have some self-preservation, care about your career a little bit more. Just a little. Anyways. I would like to start by addressing the night of April 15th as referring to Andy's statement while bringing up context she talked about in her Tumblr post on February 27th. I'd like to tread carefully on this sensitive topic, but also stand firm on the fact that I did not and would not take advantage of anyone ever. I realize this is all my word against her, so I would like to explain my experience in the most concise way possible and let you form your own opinions. In the prior post, she mentioned something that did stand true, which was there was a long period of time with zero intimacy, and that was because of myself. My lack of libido has followed me for many years. One second. Okay, sorry about that. As a reminder, this is Punz responding to what Andy said about him. Unrelated to George Not Found, unrelated to Katie. Even me wondering if I am possibly asexual because I'm not meeting the standards of my partner. I'm saying this to further explain that in no way am I a sexual or horny person. I was not the one to initiate sex often at all. I've always worked hard to validate and support victims of past sexual assault, including my own partners, which is why I'm asking you to understand my point of view in the recollection of the night of April 25th. Explicit warnings, somewhat vivid depictions of a sexual encounter are necessary for context from the time that we began drinking to the time that we got in bed together. At least 3 hours had passed. In this time, she had no more than 3 drinks, and I had approximately 5. To my memory, she had about 2.5 Smirnoff ices. Andy says that, Andy says that I said that he didn't realize how drunk I was. And I told her that she initiated sex with me and was very enthusiastic about it. And this was true. She got on top of me, straddled, began making out with me. This was a very routine way we would initiate our sexual encounters during our year-long relationship. So I sensed nothing was out of the ordinary. At no point was she seeming dizzy, slurring her words, or at all incoherent at this time. I didn't think she was any more than tipsy. I'd been around her drinking before. I genuinely didn't think she had too many drinks, and I would have never initiated or continued having sex with her if I had any idea that something was wrong. And then bold, it says, quote, the next morning, I woke up naked in my bed. I woke up and asked him, Luke, why am I naked? And he said, because you didn't want to put your clothes back on. The statement Andy made was true. The tone of my response was sarcastic, coming from a place of genuine cluelessness. She regularly slept with little clothing on. I had no idea she was fully naked, as I'm not someone who touches my partners while sleeping. I won't say it matter-of-factly, but also didn't mean any harm by what I said. This is because at no point during this conversation or any of our later discussions, for that matter, did I feel that she was accusing me of taking advantage of her. This situation was brought up between us in conversation after the fact, where she confirmed to me that she believed I wouldn't take advantage of her and that she trusts me. Anything I said to make light of the situation was not meant to dismiss her feelings. She did seem confused that she was not wearing clothes, but I didn't feel like she was insinuating that I crossed the line. I have always been extremely cautious and understanding of her experience every time we every time we were intimate. Well, he said, she said, it's impossible to know. And to Andy, with everything I've said, I don't mean to invalidate your experiences. You do not deserve to go through life not knowing what happened that night. I'm sorry I came off as being unserious to a very serious matter. I really hope you still believe that I did not and would never take advantage of you in the slightest. Hiding the relationship. Another thing I had to endure was him constantly making me feel like he was embarrassed to be with me because I was canceled. He didn't want to associate with me too much. Well, Andy may have felt that I was embarrassed to be with her, and this is not at all how I viewed our relationship. We began speaking and dating while long distance, and very early on into us talking, I made it very clear that if we were to pursue a relationship together, it would have to be private for the unforeseeable future. This was something she agreed to in order to move forward. Her being canceled was not why we weren't public. At the time, I was growing exponentially online. I couldn't predict the action of fans. I looked for guidance from peers often, and I was advised that keeping my romantic relationships private would be better for everyone. To be fair, I do agree. If you're a content creator, there's no reason to publicize your relationships. I think it's better to have things private. I think it's better for your sanity. It's better for the community. It's just better overall, I think. Um, Especially because if and when you separate, even if it's amicable, there will always be people in your chat making shit up and being like, I bet he left her because she's a slut. I bet she left him because he's cringe and he doesn't get viewers or something. Like, it's just, you should have a private life. You should have a private life that you don't let other people into. I think it's good for your sanity as a content creator to not have your entire life public. I think of the fallout if Cutie and Ludwig broke up, it would be a war. Yeah, and like think about how much harassment both of them would get. More so Cutie, because let's be realistic for a second. But like the thing is, they don't deserve that. They should be able to separate amicably, and people shouldn't have to. People shouldn't show up in your chat talking about a relationship that ended. It's just, it's just not. So I don't even disagree with that. I don't think it's shady behavior to not want to publicize your relationship online. I think it's just normal adult sane behavior. And I think it's good for your mental health. Whose tweet is this? This is from Punz responding to the criticisms against him or the allegations against him. After seeing how awful fans treated her without confirmation. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Where were we? Here we go. I genuinely didn't think it was safe to be public with her, and that is not only for my sake, but hers as well. I do realize this may have caused her distress or felt unfair for her, and I never intended to do that. After seeing how awful fans treated her without confirmation of us, I only assumed it would worsen if I publicized it. She mentioned I did defend her on multiple occasions, which is true. I stood behind her even when it hurt my reputation. Racism. The background for anyone who isn't aware, Andy said the B slur publicly and received a lot of backlash for it. This was during our relationship. While we were in the car about the situation, I made an idiotic comment where I said, I mean, you are a B slur, aren't you? In which I said the word once, not twice, as Andy refers to in her statement. The comment comes from a place of genuine ineducation, as I was confused why people were offended. I thought it was a slur referring to any Hispanic person. I wrongly assumed that she could reclaim it as a Puerto Rican. After I said this, I could instantly tell Andy was not okay with it. I apologized profusely and felt extremely guilty for saying it. I was completely remorseful and not smiling at all or laughing at her reaction. This was an extremely stupid mistake on my part, and in no way did I mean to offend her. I was in the process of writing my apology, and you just said that. It was after a situation in the car that I helped Andy write her public apology. I did not say this while she was writing it. Quote, my little B word, this part is straight up just a lie. I did not say that. While I realize this is a word I cannot and should not have ever said, it was not said in the context or with the words Andy claims. I wholeheartedly am sorry for ever letting this word come out of my mouth. And I can assure you I have never said it again. I apologize to anyone who feels let down or has lost trust in me after hearing this. Quote, he also refused to visit me in Puerto Rico when I lived there. I did refuse to visit her, and in all honesty, this was for selfish reasons. I wanted to stream consistently, and this was the peak of my career. This was another instance of me being a bad boyfriend, but it was not for any reason other than, or for any other reasons she may suggest. Quote, he implied that the Sharma sisters were too dark for him to be attracted to them. We were watching Bridgerton, and Andy asked me if I found these actresses to be attractive. I figured as she was my girlfriend, the best response was to say that I'm not attracted to them and that they were not my type. Why, my intention was literally to reassure her that she is the person I'm attracted to, not to imply that they are too dark. So what did you say? So what did you say? Me or cat? What is it? Let's see. Quote, then this combined with the fact that he told me he wasn't attracted to me made me feel like my skin color wasn't attractive. All I wanted during my Bridgerton answer was to reassure Andy that she was the only person I was attracted to. This is completely unrelated to something I said to her when we were breaking up. I've never said to Andy that her skin color was too dark or unattractive. What did he say, though? He doesn't say what he said. I'm going to assume that he said what she said he did. And that's why he's not sharing it. And that's why he's saying, I just said what I did to help her feel better about herself. I don't know. Especially given how thorough this document has been so far. This has so far been pretty decent in terms of like conciseness and getting to the point on everything. And then this is about the part where Andy says, quote, there was some flirtation going on, but nothing serious. I was still in love with um Punz at the time, but I was desperate. I was in desperate need for attention, and his buddy was there to provide it. And he says, "This is a much larger creator than myself, and sometimes I was closely associated with that time." And Andy had flirtatious interactions before, during, and after our relationship. Her interactions with this person were one of the largest contributors to my lack of trust and many of our arguments in the future. Okay. Our relationship was extremely rocky and we broke up numerous times. I'm not sure if we were dating or technically on an exclusive break, but during one of these times is when Andy and friend A were flirting and simultaneously talking poorly about me. Quote, poked fun at the fact that he broke up with me but got mad at someone else paying attention to me. She did show me messages during this time, but I distinctly remember there being missing context in areas where the conversation didn't line up, and she would intentionally hide certain things they talked about from me. I would suggest there was more, and with more provoking, she would eventually admit and show me some of the stuff that she was hiding. This happened multiple times, and the more she showed me, the worse it got. I don't not believe him. I think that this is believable, that someone would do this, because she seemingly felt really bad about it. So maybe she was leaving out the details of having been flirtatious, more flirtatious than she was. She also said that her friends all picked him over her, which seems a little bit harsh for someone who just wants to have a casual fling with someone else after their relationship is over. But if she was like flirting during the time, it would make a lot more sense why her friends wouldn't side with her. The next day he called me. We were basically back together again. However, this time I meant to earn his affection because I did something so unforgivable and atrocious. But he was basically in the clear to treat me like shit. Yeah, like she admits to this, so I believe this side of the story. If you could even possibly understand who friend A was to me, then maybe it would make sense why I was so emotionally distraught. Like I said, I'm aware there were instances where I acted like a poor boyfriend. This was amidst the biggest betrayal of my entire life. I couldn't tell if she was using him to hurt me or she actually wanted to be with him more, or both. Okay. Okay, so she did some shitty things when it comes to like flirting with other people. All right. Okay, to be honest, what I cared about most was the first two segments, the racism allegations, which he did not clarify, and the sexual assault situation, which is like very he said, she said. And I just have to trust that he did not think that she was drunk. The eating disorder part as well, because this is really long. I was recovering. Apparently, George did in fact say this though. Um, oh, Wormy. Guys, Wormy is here. It was Mayor Cat earlier. Now it's Wormy Cat. Okay, this part. I was recovering from my ED. Whenever I would crave some of these foods, he would call me fat. I feel as though the entirety of her claims of me calling her fat are heavily exaggerated and not at all how it happened. I've never called her fat or said that she's going to gain weight from her eating habits. The most insensitive comment I ever made regarding her weight, which I meant jokingly, was along the lines of, OMG, we're so fat for eating this after a big meal. I completely understand how this could have hurt her feelings or been a trigger for her. In general, whenever we would get in arguments or a disagreement, he would always call me names like annoying or weird or stupid. All I'll add to this is that our relationship felt toxic and full of arguments. It doesn't excuse my action, but she did just as much name calling and voice raising as I did. We fought a lot. Okay, so I'm going to take this as, I'm going to be honest, I probably am not going to follow up on this situation. This seems like there was at least some mutual abuse. I still don't like the fact that he didn't clarify what he did say about the Sharma sisters. I can't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion on... I have no way of knowing if he's lying when he says that he had no idea that she was drunk. And seemingly both of them agree. Seemingly both of them agree that they were toxic people in that relationship. Bro said he was reclaiming a slur on her behalf. Yeah, so I don't think that this is like... anytime there are situations where there's mutual abuse occurring and there's mutual toxicity, name calling, voice raising, that sort of thing. The messy situation stuff, especially when there's no proof for anything and I just have to trust someone's word. I don't like to follow those type of situations. Personally, me. You guys are welcome to. This stuff just gets so convoluted so quickly, and then it becomes like essays and pages of this stuff. I do appreciate that he admitted to saying the word that he said and admitted to a couple other things and that he actually apologized. I am sorry that I came off as being unserious to a very serious matter. Like, yeah. Okay. This is purely for the freaks who want to be parasocial or have vendettas against either party. Yeah. So I think we can just like leave this situation alone. I don't think that this is like really... I'm just glad they're not together anymore and they have partners or will have partners in the future who will treat them well and will treat themselves. Yeah. Yeah. But I do appreciate him actually addressing the things that he addressed. And yeah. I just don't like to... It comes off as very like drama YouTuber to be like following up with people's relationships this way and be like, wow, and then she said this and then, oh my God, so he said this and then... Unless there are new developments that are actually serious, that it's like very clearly one-sided assault, abuse, or like crossing a line that's unacceptable. I don't feel the need to get complicated or like get into the complicated details of their personal life, because it is a thing. Anyone here who's been friends with someone who's in a mutual abusive relationship, that shit gets so messy so fucking quickly.